The ModernJeeper Show, the show about Jeeps, Jeeping, and Jeepers.
Well, hey, Modern Jeepers, is another episode of the ModernJeeper Show with me, Matson from Metalcloak. And guess what? They're back. I'm so happy. It's Mr. ModernJeeper, Corey Osborne.
Hey, buddy. What's going on?
Hey, and Rockstar Jeep Girl, Jessy.
Hello.
I was lonely.
I bet
My
you
last
were.
one, I actually started asking for co-hosts because I was sad.
You weren't lonely.
You can talk forever, so.
Well, and you notice how fast I was talking? Like
Yes.
I was like, oh my God, it's like I'm trying to get everything said in like 15 minutes or less. It's my one opportunity to say what I want to say. Nobody's here to stop me. Well, welcome back. You guys had an exciting adventure that apparently weather played on our side, and wow. So
we had a little bit of every weather that was possible.
So are you ready to do Death Valley again in about 2-3 months?
Yes.
That is awesome. You were out there for what, a total of
like 16 days or something.
16 days. Wow.
Yeah.
I hear you've become like the regular historian, Corey. Like,
Yes.
You know, it's amazing to me how much history is there still, and I want to know all of it, and I want to know about it. And of course, having Del with us is great. And we went to the bookstore.
Oh, I got lots of books. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, lots of history.
Yeah, we
lots of plans, lots of everything.
We got a stack of books.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, again, it's being able to tell the story and see really awesome things, and then to know what you're looking at. That's cool.
Well, you're setting a standard now because, like, the Colorado trip, since that's your backyard, you have to be like extra set on that one.
But he is.
Yeah.
But he totally is. So.
Right. Nice. That being said, I hear Denver's just got a little bit of snow right now. So how is it that? So explain to me the topography in the world over there. How is it Denver gets like dumped? Because I talked to a customer there yesterday. Gets like center dumped with 3 feet or something, and you hardly have any right now, right?
So Denver's kind of the Coloradoans. We call that the Front Range. The way that the Rockies lie is on the western side of Denver. So that whole mountain range there, it separates the state into 2 different real weather patterns. Us on the western side, Grand Junction, Moab, all of that, we kind of share similar weather. And then on the Front Range, the Denver side, on the other side of the Continental Divide, they get kind of the brunt of a lot of storms.
Oh, interesting. It's similar to in Hawaii. Have you been to Hawaii, where you see that the island is very green and lush on the eastern side?
One side,
yeah, and then incredibly dry and almost a completely different environment in a small island just on the other side of the hill.
And it's kind of similar to Death Valley, even with, the different mountain ranges separating the valleys, even though they're not valleys, because valleys, of course, get cut by a river. Those are fake valleys called grabens, but it's similar. So the mountains separate all that stuff.
There's a whole other
We've
show we
learned
have
a
to do
lot.
now on cravens and valleys and rivers.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So, well, welcome back. You obviously had a fantastic time, and from everything I've heard from the attendees, they just thoroughly enjoyed themselves. So well done on doing another great ModernJeeper adventure. And yeah, I wish I was there, but you guys didn't need me. Yeah, I stayed here and did a show.
I mean, and kind of interesting how it all worked out, because the first trip we had a lot of participants that had never been there before, and then the second trip we ended up with a lot of industry folks and internal friends and things like that. So maybe in the future this kind of becomes the industry side, and of course then we stayed for the Cal 4-wheel event, which great group of people. I hope it raised a bunch of money for Cal 4-wheel. We spent a couple of days guiding for them and leading them on a couple of trails and had a blast.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, it's great for them to be able to do a new event like that and have it come in. You got a little light just about to shine into your eyes.
Yeah.
You got,
You got the sun. You got the sun.
He's tilting his head to it. You can put your sunglasses on. It's okay.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna just hunker down.
One of the very first videos I ever did for Metalcloak, I'm wearing my sunglasses, and I showed it to my dad, and he's like, "Well, you're wearing your sunglasses. That's not really a trustworthy look." I said, "In this industry, it works, man.
It works. Yeah,
it works."
Yep.
Yeah,
This was also the first real trip with the Gladiator, and
yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it was tight.
Was the breakfast, lunch, and dinner worth it?
We still have food that we brought back that we're eating.
So I learned a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So you can write an article on meal planning now for ModernJeeper.com.
Yes, totally.
Absolutely.
Totally. It was good. Everybody enjoyed it. Got the Thanksgiving dinner out that I had made, and everybody enjoyed it. Yeah.
What?
I made a thing. We didn't have Thanksgiving,
she cooked a turkey before we left. We had stuffing and mashed potatoes and gravy and green bean casserole and turkey out there in Death Valley.
Yep.
So I probably go, you go back several. There were probably ghosts in Death Valley that died of starvation that are now going to be haunting you. They decided to follow you home.
There was a lot of weird stuff.
That's incredible.
That's incredible. Yeah, it was fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And what date was that? The first trip or the second trip?
The second trip. Because Aaron and Sonia
with the friends. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and it literally, that's another thing that we tend to forget is it is very hard. Of course, we're the hosts of the event, but it's also very hard to, even with help, and Jessy did great, trying to host an event, capture footage, make sure everybody's okay, do the cooking and all that. Like that, there's a juggling thing going on there for sure.
Right. You'd be able to do all that. Well, that's kind of was a great thing. We learned from Tom Severin. And, he would, that first night where he would do the potluck and everybody come together, and then he brings out his Dutch oven and he has his, something that he's cooked for everybody, and everybody shares and enjoys. And that's a fun part of it. Right. And
we did that a lot. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Really nice.
Well, and that's the great, you're out there wheeling all day and then coming together and being able to sit down and meet new friends. And that's what we kind of threaten with people. Be careful. You might meet friends you're going to have for a lifetime now.
That's right. Right.
What a wonderful opportunity. So you guys are not resting. Obviously, you're getting back. You have to get out. Are you going to pick up the trailer and stuff this week?
If we can make it through the snow.
Cheyenne Cheyenne had a bunch of snow too. They had 3 feet over the weekend. So I know that they're digging out up there, and my fingers are crossed that we can get up there Friday afternoon late, pick everything up, and be back here Saturday. We got a Jeep to put back together. We've got to load the truck up, and we're headed to Easter Jeep Safari. So a lot to do. Wow. Yeah. Easter Jeep Safari. I'm excited. I'm bringing out both the Dodge with our lock and load long arm kit, as well as the Gladiator. So I'll be driving, not my Gladiator. My Gladiator's not ready to go yet. I am bringing Metalcloak's Gladiator, the big bad one. So that'll be cool. It'll be fun to have that out there and have the Dodge and show that off to people. And we got to make sure that you said that correctly and people understand. You're bringing the Dodge Ram with the lock and load suspension. Yeah, the Ram. Excuse me, the Ram. We had a discussion here. We had a discussion here. We had to make sure that because we had all this marketing going out. Like, dude, there's no such thing as a Dodge Ram. No, okay, guys, it's just the Ram. It's a Ram. So we're bringing the Ram with the lock and load. Absolutely, and it's pretty. I mean, the lock and load standardly is like this. And the lock and load is like bigger than the screen. I mean, it's the lock and load for the joints are massive. They're massive, right? The coils, everything about it is just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And so we're driving that all the way out, have it out there, show it off, do the whole thing, and I'm possibly going to have it articulated so people can come by and see just how much articulation it really gets. There you go. Not on the ramp though, because although actually.
No, yours would fit like a crew cab short bed would fit on the trailer you have. The other the black trailer, no. We got to build another one that's offset a bit.
I mean, in the past, we've taken and just articulated the front while the rear is still on the ground, but that gets kind of hokey too. So we'll do something.
We'll figure something out. We'll figure something out. Well, we might actually be bringing like our OffRoad Expo ramps, like the ones that it drives up on, just to have it on a permanent display for people just to check it out. Because
that'd be cool.
Well, I have the Gladiator. I don't need to drive the Ram truck around town. We'll have the Gladiator drive around town, but so it'll be fun. And I will say, I'm just going to say this out there for everybody who doesn't know, because they're good people over there. But this OffRoad Expo, like I'm getting more and more information about this Dixie OffRoad Expo. We're not going to be there because we have other stuff going on, right? But if you're going out to Moab, that Dixie OffRoad Expo, 100 vendors, San Juan County, which is why they're able to do it. They're just on the other side of the county border. Actually looks like it's going to be a pretty good event there on the 30th and 31st. So just a little plug in for them. Make sure you go out and check that out. It's free. And there's all kinds of great vendors going to be out there.
Yeah, for sure. I've already done some more checking for people who have reached out to us and said, where are you guys staying? Where are you going to display at? And of course, we're going to be in the same place we always are. They're next to the little coffee house. But as far as places, the repair center there. As far as places to stay in Moab, good luck.
Right.
We're there to support Moab, of course, as well as Red Rock four-wheelers and the town and to go and see people we haven't seen all year long. But the hotels are suffering a lot, and it shows in their rates where, all of a sudden $300 and $400 a night is pretty typical.
Right. And it's interesting though, because you still have some of the luxury ones that are like $2,000 a night. There were the Airbnb, there are houses that are a couple thousand a night. Well, hey, we just got joined by our guest for the day, Michael Nadel of Globex Performance. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well.
Fantastic.
Do the things it's supposed to do.
We were just talking about Easter Jeep Safari and the hotel rates there, which have gone like you're either at the good hotels, which because we're staying at hotels this year, right? And that are at that $200, $300 a night. I think got these crazy ones. They're like, oh yeah, we're going to charge $1,200 a night or $2,000 for Airbnbs where here's my house and it's $2,000 a night. They're just crazy.
Yeah, that's insane.
Are you coming out this year?
We are. Yeah. I'll be there for sure.
How long of a drive is that for you?
A couple hours.
If you drive straight, it's about 32 hours.
32. Wow. You and Ricky from Jeepers Den are like you should do like the Cannonball Run together or something. It's just you guys are machines when it comes to driving. That's not me. I said on the podcast last week that I'm doing a sleep study, and all these questions leading up in the sleep study were, if you were tired at your computer, would you fall asleep? Yes. If you were tired at the stoplight, would you fall asleep? Yes. If you were tired driving, would you? And it's like, are you extremely likely or not? And I'm like, yeah, extremely likely on everything. If I'm driving and I'm tired, I probably shouldn't be driving. So, okay, welcome to the show. We've got a lot to talk about. Obviously, Globex Performance out there in Jersey. One of Metalcloak's longtime authorized installers. God, you've been with us for what, decade or something like that?
A little, yeah. It's got to be a decade, 12, 13 years.
Yeah, easily. And Corey, you've done at least what, one event out there?
I think we've been out there a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and in fact, I think I remember seeing a drone shot or something up there, just that big line of Jeeps all lined up waiting for the trailer. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So the whole thing about it for all of our guests out there, we keep saying we're going to bring in more and more guests, and we're not going to be just me, Corey, and Jessy talking because we want to bring other people in, been in this industry and probably know a little bit more about it than I do. And so with Mike at Globex, how did you start, man? How did you get into this business?
It really was just a matter of circumstance. My partner, Mike, sorry about that.
That's right. Mike and Mike.
Yeah. We had a used car lot We were both kind of just in between careers and had a little used car lot, one town over from where we are now. We just sold, we were in our mid 20s. We didn't have a lot of money. So we had 50 junkers out on the lot. And we realized we're bad used car salesmen. Especially at that level, it's just not
too honest.
Yeah. And when we had 50 cars on the lot, they were maybe, obviously they weren't $20,000-$30,000 cars. They were, $4,000 or $5,000 cars, and we're dealing with broken stuff and upset customers and stuff. And it's just not what we wanted to do. We always liked working on cars, so it was just kind of natural. I think we all do it. We'll find something, fix it up in the driveway, and sell it. We just kind of took it to that next level. We realized we're bad used car salesmen. We have a conscience. And we went from having a big car lot with 50 cars to actually the unit that I'm sitting in right now. We're in a little business park, and we went from having 50 cars to having 6 to 10 specialty cars. We did a lot of muscle cars, sports cars, and Jeeps. We got into exporting. We had a friend in England. We were sending stuff over there because there's a big crowd in England. That they just like we have people here that love foreign stuff. They have people there. Everyone wants what they can't have. So we got into a bit of sending over just classic American stuff. Not necessarily old, but a lot of old muscle cars, but a lot of Jeeps. There's a lot of people that like, what's more American than a Jeep? And
right.
We had, Mike and I both had Jeeps. We weren't really Jeepers. We were just Jeep owners, sporadically over the years. So we started going out to local clubs and, seeing what people were doing to their Jeeps. So we could build the Jeeps to send them overseas. This was right at the end of the TJ era. And we wanted to, send over something that would work. Obviously, they don't have the parts availability and all the support from the industry that we have here. So we wanted to get solid builds that we could send over and not have to worry about. And so we just kind of picked up knowledge from going out to events and things. And eventually people would come to us saying, oh, hey, what the stuff you're building, can you do that, to my Jeep? I'm looking to do this. And so, sure, we have the shop. We only had 6 or 10 vehicles at a time. So Mike and I certainly had the time. And it just kind of snowballed from there, where people would come to us and, eventually we're doing more shop work than car sales. And geez, I think we gave up our auto dealer license in 2011.
Oh, wow.
We're doing so much retail work that the car sales, kind of, it was more of a pain than it was worth. It was getting in the way of this. And then each step of the way, eventually there was so much work we needed to hire, one employee, and that was a big step. And just kind of gone from there. We've had a good team we've put together, and there's we float seasonally between 8 to 10, total, including me and Mike, on the crew. We have some guys that go off to college, come back for the summer, stuff like that. Because that's I'd say summer is definitely our busy season. We're kind of busy year round, but the work varies. But in the summer, it's always busy. So we vary a bit, and we're at a comfortable size. I think this is where we'd like to stay. If we get any bigger, it just, I think we'd lose a bit of that control.
Right.
I kind of take care of everything here in the office, as far as, purchasing and customer support and things like that. Not so much sales. Glenn, he handles pretty much all of our sales. And sells a lot of your kits. I actually just had to order one before I hopped on. And,
nice.
So I all kind of the logistics and just shop operations, and usually all the traveling and promotion and things like that. And Mike's out there. Mike's out in the shop. He likes to keep his hands dirty. We make good partners are hard to find, and we complement each other well.
That's true. Well, the name Globex makes sense. I mean, is that the name you had when you were selling cars around the world?
Well, that's my there's the story I tell people, which is that story, and the real story is I stole it from an episode of The Simpsons.
Oh, you heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, there was an episode where Homer goes off to work for like a James Bond villain type, Hank Scorpio, and the name of Hank's company was the Globex Corporation, and I just thought it was funny to, take that as use it as an homage.
That's awesome.
I think back there somewhere on the shelf is a little Hank Scorpio figure someone gave me. It's funny when a customer like calls us out on it. It's pretty funny. I'm like, okay, we have something in common.
Is that like if you call somebody, if you know it and you call it out, you might just get a discount?
Yes,
because then you're on the in crowd.
That was my timer to come join you. But yeah, no, it's very interesting. It feels, I don't feel like we've been doing this for 15 years. Every day is something new. It keeps it exciting. I mean, I'm sure we all have, stress at our jobs, but it's really cool to, in those stressful moments to be able to go outside and kind of look at the lineup of the projects, that are coming through the shop. And it's kind of like, like it could be worse. There's definitely worse industries to be in. And it's fun. I like getting out to events and, meeting the customers and actually being able to go out and, see our projects put to work. And I'm looking forward to the EGS is going to be my first trip. I went out once last year. I didn't even bring my Jeep. I brought a customer's Jeep out to the event.
So you bring in your bear costume.
I was going to say you could just wear the suit.
I mentioned that for EJS, and I don't know where he is. I will find Globear and
Globear.
Yeah, we around here we call him Skincare because he's never been washed.
Okay, no hugging next year. No more hugs. Oh, that's including. So he hasn't been washed. So he actually has. He has EJS all over him.
Oh yeah, he is.
EGS Syndrome.
If you did like a CSI thing and look through the stuff in Globear's coat, I'm sure you find bits of Alaska and Baja and Johnson Valley and EJS, and Globear's he gets around.
Well, let's go back. You just said Alaska. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I did Alaska in 2016 with a JK Experience. That was an amazing trip. I did 3 or 4 of the JK Experience events, and it's fun. It's cool to see the difference because we do. I've run events, from local club events to that's one of the I'd say most high profile, well funded, and. It's cool it's fun to go to an event and everything's organized and taken care of. You don't have to worry about anything. In fact, you can't because it's a secret route. You don't know where you're going. So you kind of have to abandon that control. I'm going to try to do a headphone thing. Let's see if this actually works. Sorry. Yeah, we're okay now. We had people coming through the office, but it's really cool. And I get to relax a bit because a lot of times, I'm sure you guys have the same thing when you're at an event. You're kind of on all the time because you're meeting new people and
right.
It's exciting and it's fun, but at the end of the day, you're exhausted because you're constantly making first impressions.
Yep.
And when you get to spend a week with a group of, because the events vary in size, but 15 to 30 Jeeps. By the second day, everyone knows everyone, and you're getting to actually know people, and that's cool because everyone has their own story as to how they got to that level of the Jeep hobby, and it's fun to see. It's a nice mix of industry folks and Jeepers, and we've been lucky enough to be invited to a few different events of that caliber, and it's fun to see how the other half wheels, because you're meeting some people who. There's guys there at those events that are like, young guys busting knuckles in the garage to get their rigs together. And you have guys there that, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but, flying in on their private jet to where their Jeep's been dropped off.
That's a little exaggeration, but it's not.
But not as much as you think. Right. I get a taste of it. I'm flying into EJS this year. My Jeep's getting.
There you go.
I had a customer who I'll be honest, I wasn't going to go. And I had a customer who reached out and said, "Hey, I've got a spot on my trailer. We have a rental house with a spare bed. Throw your Jeep on the trailer and come out."
Well, that's awesome.
And I've made some really, really good friends in the industry, you all included. And it's an amazing thing that you meet so many people from all different walks of life, and it doesn't matter because like we share that passion.
Right.
And
yeah, ultimately it doesn't matter. Like for for those that don't know, JK Experience was originally started by Mel Wade, Off-Road Evolution, and that was when he was just a build shop, and he was one of the first guys to really embrace the JK. I mean, the JK came out, and some of us were still saying it just stands for just kidding, and he was out there building a business around it, and the JK Experience grew. I don't know if he still fully owns it now, or if it grew out of it, because I know that there was heavy involvement with Nitto, right, or with Falcon and the Nitto and some other groups, and Eddie over at Way of Life did a lot of the original films for it. I mean, there's so many people that have been involved in that, and it's been a great experience for many people. I mean, I think at the point, do they do like 2 a year now or something, or like an East and a West, or
for a while, like in 2015, I think that was the first time they did multiple. I did the East Coast in 2015, and then once the JL came out, well, he does his local events too that are open to the public. He does one for those a year, and then once the JL came out, there was the JK Experience and JL Experience.
Right.
It got to the point for me that through no fault of the event, where I was just kind of doing the same thing over and over, and it wasn't worth the time away from the shop to me.
Sure.
And there's so many other events I'd like to do that I didn't want to limit myself to just one. But I'm still really friendly with. I've met some of my best friends through big events like that. I have people I talk to every single day that I met on JK Experience.
Wow.
Super valuable, and to spend a week with some of the, I hate to use the term, but like Jeep celebrities, so the industry, and kind of get past that aspect of it, and it's really cool to kind of have that opportunity. I mean, there was on JKX 17, my co-driver and I were sitting around a campfire. We're just sitting around a campfire. There's 6 of us, and 3 people here have won King of the Hammers multiple times. I was like, this is pretty cool. And
that's amazing. And it's one of those great things about what he did and what he brought together, right? Now, I remember we were doing the Rubicon trip in 2019, because of course we didn't get to do it in 2020. And in 2019, they actually did the Rubicon, but here's the difference. Like, we were taking 3 or 4 days to go through the Rubicon. They started out in Tahoe that morning, and we're doing the entire trail that day.
Wow.
So it's a little bit of it is definitely an experience, but man, it is a go. I mean, and Corey, you know, to some degree what that's like, because you did the Ultimate Adventures, and when they had that kind of driven schedule. But to me, that's amazing, and it's probably a lot going on there. But man, to get out there and just like go, and have to go through something like the Rubicon that is so iconic and so beautiful, and and you don't even get a chance to soak it in.
I've heard it described as sprinting through a museum.
Yes.
Wow. That's awesome. I love that.
That was Mel. I can't take credit for that, but Mel described Alaska as, at the end, the debrief, he said, you guys are going to go home and you're going to remember things that you saw over the last week, because we didn't have a chance. It really is like sprinting through a museum. Because, and while you're there, you're worried about, getting the right camera shots and things like that. And not that we're in charge of filming, but looking good for the camera and trying to keep the group together and all these other things that you're not paying attention to where you are or what, the wheeling that you're doing.
Right, because there's a full-on camera crew, and it's not just a few guys with GoPros. I mean, when they went through the Rubicon, they had the whole rig that goes on the back of the Jeep, with a full camera that was rotating that they would be able to operate, so that one Jeep was actually catching all the vehicles coming, another one going. It was a pretty incredible setup.
I have to imagine Ultimate Adventure similar. I haven't been, but I'd love to, get the chance one day.
It's interesting to me that, and you bring up some really good points. There's so many places. Well, I have 2 things that come to mind, and it's funny that we meet our people. We're such a social group, the off-road industry in general, and we really want to we want to spend time with all those people that share like interests. And then we go to an event and they're always like this massive push. We go to these amazing places, but it's like it's sprinting through the museum and then it's over and you kind of get back home and you go, wow, we did so much. I wonder if we'll ever get to the point where we can slow everything down a little bit and go, you know what? I'm going to go out there and spend as long as it takes. Now, I guess that would be pretty fortunate, I guess. I don't know that any of us have that kind of time.
Well, you know, we try to do it as a Modern Jeeper adventure. I mean, you guys, there's a lot you're doing, but I think we pace it out well enough that it's not like you're trying to pack 2 days of wheeling into 5 hours. Right. And so, even with the Rubicon trip, going across and taking the time and stopping on your way to the springs so that you get to enjoy it a little bit longer, take a little bit more time, enjoy the camaraderie with people, right? In Death Valley, what you just did, I mean, I wasn't there, so I can't testify to it, but I imagine your setup was such that you still had time to go to camp and had time to set up, had time to enjoy lunch, had time to talk about things, to walk around,
well,
be able to like walk around Darwin, right?
You know, overlanding is so completely different than what we do at like a Moab, where we go out and we run a trail and then we can come back into town and go have dinner and that kind of thing. Whereas overlanding, part of that whole experience is setting up your stuff and using your stuff. So yeah, it's definitely different. I mean, all events are a little bit unique, and yeah, I just I don't know. Maybe it'd be fun to just go, look, I've got as much time as it takes to go to Moab. How long would that take somebody? Could we go out there and spend a month? I think so.
Well, some of my good friends do that. Like Easter Jeep Safari, either the month before or the month after. That's their time there. They hang out the entire month. And I think usually it's like the month of March. So depending on how it falls, like they park their RV and they spend in a month every year. Right. And it's a big ringing phone. It's a loud phone. So for all of our listeners, you know, but obviously Michael's running a business, and as part of running a business, we get to see all the activity going on. So if you're wondering what all those sounds are and you're just on the podcast hearing all this stuff, you need to watch the video because it's cool. All these people going in and out. It's like he has a real operation there, not just some
something like that.
Not a little studio like I've got behind me, because nothing really happens here. It's just 4 screens for looks only. But it is that. It's like being able to go and do that. How incredible is that? Of course, they're retired and they go from one place to another. And then there's Jim and Deb. You can do that. So we can all look forward to that day that we have the RV and we can just go park in the middle of Moab and spend a month going on every trail we want to, or not going on any trail and just saying, haha, here I am. I mean, it's just how we, living life that way. But that's what I guess what we aspire to, right?
Yeah. In the meantime, we get to, all of us have managed to take our passion and somehow turn it into a career.
Right.
Every now and then I have to sit back and kind of take perspective, and that's awesome. It really is what gets me out of bed.
That's my podcast from 2 weeks ago, when again I was alone because Corey and Jessy were out. I talked about that, taking their career, and we had Forged 4x4 on that, which is the guy who decided to do this whole Jeep giveaway thing as his business model, and pretty cool company, pretty cool people, but a way to get into this industry. I mean, there are so many opportunities for somebody who has a Jeep to be able to rise and step up and find their way into this industry, whether it's working for somebody or if you're a salesperson, easy enough to get a job in this business because a lot of us need good salespeople. To your passion, working on cars, to Corey, having friends and just finding a way to say cut the corporate cord and dive in head first. Because if you have a bit of intelligence, a lot of us in this industry need some people with intelligence. So. But it's so cool. So back to your story. So you mentioned you guys that owned Jeeps weren't really Jeepers. What was your first Jeep?
Some sort of YJ at some point. I couldn't tell you which one was the first. I had plenty of like carbureted 4.2 YJs. As a kid, I was always even in high school, I was always buying whatever I could find that had some silly problem and fixing it up and flipping it in my parents' driveway. And that's actually where, Mike and I started with the used cars. It was, in a shed on my parents' property. You know, we just were buying and selling out of the paper.
Wow.
This is, you know, early Craigslist days, I guess. And, you know, we just kind of crossed paths, and it was really lucky. I don't think either one of us could have done it on our own. But yeah, I had, you know, geez, at one point I had a little YJ with a snowplow I used to make some extra money. And it was one of those things. So what I was saying is, like, I had Jeeps. I used them as a tool and a toy, but I wasn't into the hobby. And you know, I wish I did, you know, from the beginning, but because it's another level. It really is. And a lot of people don't draw that distinction between, you know, Jeepers and Jeep owners, but there's definitely, I'm sure we all see it. There's definitely, you know, people who just happen to have one as a toy, or people who, you know, this is their lifestyle. This is what they're working, you know, 50 weeks a year so they can have their 2 weeks off wheeling somewhere. And, you know, I love being able to kind of get everyone's different story. And I, you know, try to do that with customers. You know, I don't have as much time as I used to, but, you know, usually when someone's picking up a completed job or coming up with plans for their next one, I'll step out with, you know, Glenn or Mike, whoever's helping them out, and, you know, kind of say, oh, I really like how you did this. Or you always, you know, I like seeing, you know, something different than the same formulaic build over and over. And I like that personal touch. And there's so much to the hobby that goes beyond just the machine. And I like getting, you know, especially here, we have so many people that, you know, maybe they go skiing and they're building a Jeep for that, or they like surf fishing. So we're only about 2 miles from the Atlantic Ocean. So we get a lot of people that, you know, have fishing permits and drive out on the beach to, you know, surf fish, or, you know, guys that do trail riding or overlanding, or the hardcore rock crawl guys. And it's cool to see how each person has taken their Jeep and made it fit their lifestyle. And, you know, that's the cool part to me.
Well, I know that when we've been out there and had the CTI trailer, the followers that you have and the people that you've built rigs for, I mean, it's pretty fun for me because you have a relationship with every single customer, and they all show up to support, and they all want to see how their rig does, and it's very friendly. Where sometimes, you know, it kind of gets a little awkward and competitive when it's just kind of an open trailer for anybody who wants to come up. And going out and spending some time with you and your folks has always been it feels nice. It's like a big family.
It is. And there's really, I'd say, 3 major shops in New Jersey, which we're a small state, but we're a very populous state. So that's, you know, we're still Jim up at OK. He's 2 hours away. Tim out of Liquid Iron. He's, you know, about an hour, but we're all friends. And I like that. It's very cool when you can have truly friendly competition, where, you know, sometimes one of us will be too busy, or the job might not quite be what we want to do. And we'll say, you know, why don't you go see, you know, I'll send people to Timmy or Jim, and they'll send people to us. And, you know, we all get together for dinner, stuff like that. And it's, I've never really understood. I see certain other areas of the country where there's, you know, bitter rivalries, and like, this is all that we're all in the same hobby. You know, I never really understood that. There's enough room in the world for Coke and Pepsi, Nike and Reebok. You know, like, it's
right?
Yeah, but tell me, competition is good. If I can stoke competition between you guys.
That reminds me. We were talking about it the other day. As far as your jobbers, because you have an interesting jobber program at Metalcloak. Since you don't really push for the e-commerce side, you know, you handle that your own. You don't have the dorm room drop shippers.
Right.
I would say, you know, most of your wholesale customers, I guess your jobbers, are installing the parts that they're buying from you.
Right.
And I didn't know where. I was kind of curious where we ranked. I'm sure you have tiers. You have your guys who, you know, probably do, you know, 4 or 5 a year, and you have people who might be ordering 2 or 3 kits a day. I was sort of wondering, like, kind of where we landed in that spectrum.
You know, I have to look at it. You're amongst the top, just because that's one of the reasons I reached out to you. I mean, one of the things I'm doing right now is kind of going through like all the top jobbers in the country and getting them on the podcast, because they all have interesting stories. And it's not so much because you sell Metalcloak product, but because you are successful. and I want others to hear your success story and what built your success and how you did things. So you're in that top realm. I don't recall offhand, or do we have? Are you at gold status or?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah,
I
if
am.
you're at gold status, you're definitely amongst that top tier. And you are a pure shop. There's some, there's this growing thing, and this is just a general comment about the industry itself, is more and more shops, because of the ease to get into e-commerce, more and more shops are finding that as a way. Like you mentioned Jim, OK Four Wheel Drive, he's always had that model. I mean, as long as I've known, it's partly because where he's located, right? He's isolated out in the middle of no place. It's amazing. He has such a great shop out there.
Huge shop. So it's really impressive.
Yeah, it's a great location, but and people have to drive a bit to get to him. But he does have a large e-commerce side, and he does. As far as I know, he always has. So for him, it was a bit of a challenge when he's like, no, Metalcloak, we don't want you to selling it e-commerce. Said we're not going to play that game as much as our goal, our focus has been. People can buy products from us, but when they need a professional service and they want professional care and quality from high quality people, I want individual shops out there taking care of them. Because I know you care as much about that customer's experience as we do.
Absolutely. We don't want comebacks. We want people to be happy with their work.
Exactly.
With the work we do, rather.
And that's why we kind of built that model. But and again, just looking at the industry, though, in general, you just see more and more shops that also are trying to, and you can't fault them for that. I mean, it's so easy again at the e-commerce side, and so many great brands out there that do drop shipping, and so many great brands out there that want to support that model. That it's fantastic that they can find these ways of expanding their own business, and it just gets more and more people in the industry, because ultimately you have to hire somebody to handle that e-commerce side if you're successful, and that's great. And where every time something ships, it pays for another delivery driver, right? So it's I mean, that would be fascinating. This is something we've never done. Maybe ModernJeeper can commission the study, but I'm what's the word I'm looking for? I'm incredibly curious about what is the actual market size of just what does the Jeep contribute? I mean, I'm sure maybe Jeep's done a study, but if you just take the Jeep JK, 10 years of it or 11 years of a Jeep being built, what is the market that it has created? How much dollars has been created? How much commerce has been created? How many jobs have been created because that exists? I mean,
I don't think that we would be here if it wasn't for the JK. The JK changed everything.
Absolutely. Right. You go from a rig that they made 75,000 a year to all of a sudden they're doing $250,000 of it. And it was such a wide variety. I mean, let's go back to just about you. Like, I'm just curious from your side, because this has been very important to us. A brand new person buys a Jeep, walks up to you and says, I want to build it and I want to put all this stuff on. I'm going to put 40s and blah, blah, blah. What do you do as a shop owner and an experienced Jeeper to educate them on what they really need? And once that's done, on actually how to use the darn thing?
What we generally do is we'll ask someone, how they plan on using their Jeep, what sort of off-roading they're going to do, or sometimes even something as basic as what size tire do you want to run? Because everything's kind of built around that. And then what we'll often do, because it's hard, most people can't just come in and stroke a check and pay for it, just a complete build. So what we'll do is we'll try to come up with intelligent stages, logical progression, where you're not undoing things that you've already done. And I'd say that's where we see a lot of people kind of make missteps. We're coming to, we'll try to help guide someone through that process. And we're not getting the whole build right away, but hopefully, if I can help someone save money, by not wasting money on things that they're going to undo later, that tends to create, it shows people that we actually care. We're not just trying to sell you everything we can. We're trying to, help you enjoy, your hobby and let the money, have your money stretch to kind of, just you don't want to waste money, just to do things in a logical progression. But I'd say, our bread and butter, or someone will come in with a new JL and do lift kit, wheels, tires, that's our kind of our basic, bread and butter, do a couple a day. And then, I'd say, maybe half of those will do, gears at the same time. We'll do like some gears, maybe lockers, maybe some axle reinforcement. But we spend a lot of time on education, and we find that that's key. And, a lot of people don't realize what supporting modifications you need to run the big tires. Or we'll get people that come in and just say, I want 40s and a Hemi, and just say, well, cool, that's no problem. What sort of axles do you have? And if they say stock, okay, now we start that conversation. Because I'm sure that I'd love to just sell someone a Hemi lift kit 40s, beadlocks. That's a great invoice. But if they're just going to go out and break their axle, well,
right,
you didn't make a happy customer. So a lot of people do get sticker shock. A lot of people don't know what goes into making some of these big builds. But we'll take the time, and we usually have a nice variety of projects around. The vast majority of our Jeeps, that we build are in and out in a day or two. But we always have the long-term projects where there's a lot of custom fabrication or big stuff, and we can show people what really goes into making one of these big do everything builds. And it's actually cool. We had Mike was saying yesterday, he was walking around with a customer, and we had geez, I don't know, Glenn, how many Jeeps would you say we have here on tons right now? 6 or 7 customer rigs?
6 or 7,
and not kind of
swapped. We just have like most of the big builds, and there's still a decent amount out there, but we have a lot of big builds here.
That's true. Yeah, we happen to have one with an LS and a couple a couple with LSs. I forgot about mine.
One LS blower, one LS.
Yeah, Hemi truck, a Hemi JK, on the Dynatrack 6080 combo. A couple Cherokees on ton. But yeah, it's cool to be able to show people that, like, that this is, these are all your different directions your build could head. We have like I said, we're in a business park, and just kind of as we've grown, we picked up more units. We have 5 units in the industrial park now. Unfortunately, not all next to each other. That would be nice. But, we have one bay that is just used for building axles. We generally do 1 vehicle a day. Sometimes we try to stretch and get 3 into 2 days. Because my axle guy's really good. He can do 3 differentials a day, no problem. Especially if it's something that we do all the time. A JKJL stock axles. And then we have a larger bay, unit 4. That's where we have do all our fabrication. We have the mill and the lathe and the CNC plasma cutter and 3D printers and tubing benders and metal brakes and stuff like that. There's a JK in there now getting a full cage, from a bare tub, full custom cage. That's a big project. Very, very nice JK we built about a year ago. He went out, wheeled it, and found the places he'd like to, improve. And a big one was safety, because he got to the point where he wasn't quite trusting that stock cage and didn't really like any of the production cages on the market. So we're building him one, and it's cool to have grown from the point where we're just installing parts to now where we have that custom work. And that's where other Mike, my partner Mike, that's where his passion lies. He's a fabricator. So
nice.
I haven't seen him in a day or two, because he's been over there bending tube and working with Vinny, our welder. And now since we started buying some CNC equipment, actually we had the Doosan sales rep in earlier for shopping for a new lathe.
Wow.
Yeah. But
Doosan's a good brand.
Oh yeah.
Got a few of
we have
those.
our Haas. Yeah, they're awesome machines. We're looking at a live tool Y-axis dual spindle, like I said, 3-axis lathe. But
so what kind of parts do you do? What kind of parts are you going to do when you have a CNC like that?
Most of the things we're making right now are all just kind of custom one-off bits. We have a few like little builder parts we're making. We're doing I just happen to have some on my desk. We're doing little brake line clamps that go on control arms.
Oh wow!
It takes an AN fitting, so you can run your soft hose and then run your brake line down your axle. So we're just making little builder parts like that for now. But for the most part, it's all just custom stuff for customers. But we'd really like, that's our goal, was to start making a few production trinkets. And we think that our niche is going to be the little problem solver bits like this. For all these common problems that we all kind of have our own solutions we've come up with over the years. We just kind of want to make, we're not looking to step on any of our friends' toes. We have so many friends in the industry that we're not trying to compete with. We'd rather make parts that complement, and like I said, the little problem solvers. One of the things, my personal project I want to do on the lathe, I've been drawing up, is as far as I can see, no one's reproducing old style Ford spindles for a Ford Dana 60. You can get Chevy and Dodge, but we run into that problem all the time. We have a lot of guys running old Kingpin axles, and we're trying to find good used spindles, and no one makes them. So
wow,
I think that's going to be one of my first projects on that.
Cool.
Nice.
And
so going back to your builds, what was your favorite build of 2020?
I would say we did I don't know if well, actually I do know you do. We took Scott Bloom's old Gecko JK.
Oh yeah, Scott.
And yeah, we bought it from him with no particular plan. December of 19, we met up. He's in Detroit, we're in New Jersey, so we met up like outside Pittsburgh and just kind of switched trailers. And Mike and I were just gonna build it as something. We didn't really know, but we had a good customer. We had built him a LSA powered TJ. Actually, we'll have that at EGS. He's coming out with us for the first time. His first time in Moab. But his family has a CBD company. They grow, manufacture, distribute CBD products. And he said, we need a company truck. I got to make my deliveries. This thing, he saw the bright green. He's like, I guess he saw it pictured wrapped with their Leaf logo and stuff. And so we built that up. We took it down because that Jeep had seen some abuse. Yeah, abuse. That's
what,
fair.
You mean Scott wheels?
Well,
what?
Scott's, yeah. No, sometimes. And so we just had a bare. It was pretty much a roller. It had no shocks or anything in it. It had some suspension that we ended up taking out, but it had a good Dynatrac 60/80 combo. And the body was straight. It had one little piece. I think the B pillar on the driver's side, we had to do a little repair. We have a body shop we work with, sprayed it for us and everything. But we built it up kind of as a show Jeep. It's all flashy, 20-inch bead locks, and I forget what tires are on that. They're 40-inch Maxxis, I think. But I have to double check. But it's a little flashy. We did the wheels to match, and their logo is green and purple. So there's a lot of purple beadlock rings, purple accents. We did nice seats, and just a 6.4 Hemi. We were going to do a Hellcat, but you don't need it. He's just driving it around. Its job is really to hold stickers and look good. But it came out really, really good.
You just said something. You said you didn't do a Hellcat because he doesn't need it. I mean, he didn't really need a Hemi either. I mean, come on.
well, his other one, his TJ that we built him, has an LSA in it. So he was complaining that this one's a little slow.
Needs maybe a little regearing.
It's overgeared right now because it was set up for a 3.6. So it's around town. It's a blast on the highway. It gets a little, sitting at 3,000 RPM on the highway. It's a little rough because on those big builds, we always want to put the first couple hundred miles on, especially when we're building up from a bare frame. So
that sounds like an excuse to just have fun with somebody else's rig.
Yeah, the hard part of the job is my partner and I split those couple hundred miles, and we want to find any little issues. We want to give someone their Jeep, and we want them to be able to go out, turn the key, enjoy it, and not have any issues. So we want to, we shake them down, especially when it's just built up from a bare frame, and we did everything. You're going to find something. I don't. And there wasn't too much on that one. A few little electronic things, just because it was already built, taken apart, and rebuilt.
Right.
So we were chasing down a few things because it was modified. Yeah, she's had a couple engine swaps at different times, and so we wanted to make sure it was perfect. And that's the hard part of the job, is putting on those couple hundred miles. For a while, my neighbors always ask me, they're like, how many Jeeps do you have? I'm like, no. I'm always driving home something different if we're trying to diagnose, or if we just do a regear, we put those first couple heat cycles on. So, I'll often have a different Jeep. And I think some of my neighbors think I'm a little nuts, but we all probably have that problem.
Right. Yeah, my neighbors think I'm nuts, man. It has nothing to do with the Jeeps. Corey has no neighbors.
You're perceptive.
I don't have any neighbors.
Lucky.
Corey has no neighbors. He's isolated.
I don't like people.
He doesn't like people. Turns out that 1 week at East Jeep Safari is enough people contact for him for like 2 months.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you don't like people, you might have picked the wrong position, because that's all you do all year is go around and meet people.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. People complain all the time, like that dick over there on that trailer, man. He just.
you guys have no idea what you have, or maybe you do, but I have whenever you're coming out, I have people for a month or two ahead of time, customers coming in saying, I want to get my truck ready for the CTI trailer. I want to get a higher score. What do we do? And
we should start charging, Corey. Be like, use it to build up your customer base.
Right.
Fantastic. We just take a 10% commission on all sales. It's no big deal. No money out of pocket for you. Yeah. No, that's awesome. That was part of the game of it, right? It's marketing for us. It's research for us, because we now have the database of over 8,000 Jeeps, and we're the only company in the world that has that level of research on suspension systems. And it's also the game of wanting to get that higher scoring, wanting to be there, and wanting to perform. I mean, there's nothing better. There's nothing better than that.
Keep mine on the wall.
There you go.
Yeah.
See. And that was the beauty of it. And so it's, for us, we're just fortunate that we can actually, because I did the first year going around, just being able to have somebody like Corey and now Jessy traveling the country with that. It's pretty cool. And the fact that Corey Corey gets it. Corey gets under those Jeeps, and we're at the point now where and Corey had made this decision and made this call. Like we used to get them in and out 5 minutes, go, get as many people as possible. Now it's the 10-minute cycle of really taking a chance to talk to the Jeep owner and look at the rig and help diagnose problems and situations. And it's not just a photo op. And I remember back in the day, it was get him out, get a photo. Hey, did you get your photo? Okay, cool. On to the next one.
There's still some events that the owner doesn't really care. They want their photo. But some really want to understand what's going on with their rig. So we've tried to make it a little bit more involved.
Or you got the guys who actually want to stay in the rig because they think it's a ride.
That still happens a lot.
Isn't that funny? So that's awesome. So, Mike, it's been great having you on and talk about things. But I do have some what we call our flash questions, right? So I'm just going to throw 3 questions at you. First off, your favorite trail.
Pritchett Canyon.
Really? Pritchett. Nice. That's, of all the possibilities, the one that's one of the hardest trails. Hey, Corey, what do you think? Based on your knowledge, and you've been on all these trails, does Pritchett rank as among the hardest? Where does it sit there in the country?
It's going to be in that top probably 5-10 commercial trails. There's a lot of trails out there that it's like create your own line kind of stuff. But as far as a commercial functioning trail that's part of an event series, Pritchett is right up there. There's a lot of trails in Montrose, Colorado in general, that are just as challenging, but Pritchett is one of the few that it can grab you for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right,
it's
next
just beautiful. Yeah.
No, please go ahead, Mike.
I was saying it's just to have that type of challenging wheeling in such a beautiful environment.
Right.
It's that combination for me that does it.
Right.
Cool.
Right. Yeah, a little different than, like, say, Johnson Valley, where it's a beautiful area, but you've got to be a desert lover for that, because it's just, there's a certain point where it's all about either go fast or crawling. But all right, next question for you. Favorite mod under $500?
It would be some sort of support gear, either good radio equipment or I'd say not the winch, but everything that connects to the winch, your line and tree savers and shackles and stuff. I'd say that those are key. If you don't have those, spend your $500 on communication gear or recovery gear.
Nice.
Because when you other stuff will get you where you need to go. Those things will get you out of it when you need it.
I like that.
That's great. That's our text suggestion for the week.
I feel like I'm on hot ones here with these flash questions.
Yeah, that's the fun part. Last and not least, if you could have anything on a license plate, what would it be?
Yeah, I was about to say, where's that?
I don't have my plate here. I had my vanity tag on my I actually just sold it, but I had an SRT Grand Cherokee. My daily driver was Dick Bear. I don't know how the state gave it to me. I got Dick Bear on a license plate. For anyone watching the podcast, that's my little personal brand. Is a little Burt Reynolds lounging
Bear. Nice. Nice. We'll have to link that definitely in the show notes so people can see.
I'll send you a good picture.
Awesome. Great answers.
Don't we gotta keep this just between us here. This doesn't go out, but I may have ordered a Bronco and the Dick Bear tag's going on the Bronco.
Nice.
I don't know if that's a dirty word on this podcast.
Oh no.
No, I said it first, so it's okay.
It's
only a title, and quite frankly, if we probably cussed more, we'd get more viewers because people listen to the explicit episodes a lot more.
Yeah. I actually didn't know if Bronco was a dirty word.
No, we've talked about it a lot.
I have my order here.
Nice.
It's
which one did you get?
I did a pretty much every option you could get in a manual trans 2-door. I did. I originally was going to do it just a base Sasquatch, but instead, over time, I kind of changed my order. My salesman doesn't hate me. He swears, but I changed it yesterday to my final spec. I did a Cyber Orange manual 2-door Badlands. Every option except the painted top and leather. I wanted the washout floor and all. If you get leather, you can't get they give you carpet instead. So I am so excited for it. I don't know why, but for my dailies, I just like having something that's not a Wrangler. Just because I'm in Wranglers all the time. I like having something a little different. I loved my Tacoma. I loved my SRT Grand Cherokee. And I think I'm going to like the Bronco even more.
What's estimated delivery date?
Oh, go ahead.
I had a couple options to push it out. The 2-doors are going to be a little bit later than the 4-doors. I think the manual trans is a late availability, but not as late as the manual trans Sasquatches. I'm fine without the Sasquatch package. We're going to do all that. We're going to change all that stuff anyway. So I'm hoping I have it in June or July, but who knows? It comes when it comes. In the meantime, I got my little beater S10 I'm driving.
I was gonna say, hopefully, you'll have better luck when you first pick it up than you did with the JL.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my 15 minutes of internet fame. I've never had something go viral. I haven't since. I'm not a producer. I don't produce content, but that story was crazy. We went and picked up our JL. It was real early. It was January of 2018. So it was a very early one. Our ordered one hadn't come in yet, and for some reason shipments were being delayed to the East Coast. So we found one in Pittsburgh. We drove out to a dealer, just bought it, and 5 minutes from the dealership, it just died. Stopped at a toll booth and it just died. We pushed it to the side of the road. I called, I didn't know what to do. Called some friends at Jeep, just said, hey, what are we doing? Is there anything we can do that we're, to try that we're doing wrong? It just won't restart. We tried basic resets and was told, hey, you got a warranty and roadside assistance. Just let the dealer, take it up. The dealership was great. They bought us lunch while they were playing with it, and ended up just doing a dealer trade with another dealer in town for the same spec. Changed the VIN on our paperwork, and we were off. But while we're on the side of the road waiting for the truck, I just kind of went on Facebook Live. It was when Facebook Live was kind of new and everyone was doing it.
I remember.
We're just goofing around. We're just goofing around on the side of the road, and Mike and I are kind of cracking jokes, and we drove out there in my Tacoma. So we're like, oh, Toyota made it, Jeep. And I guess the world was so hungry for JL content that even just a Facebook Live video of something going wrong with the JL, and we were good natured through the whole thing. We were it happens. That's why warranties and service departments and roadside assistance exist, is because these things happen. There's nothing to really get upset about. But yeah, it ends up getting, I don't know, 500,000 views, and it ended up, with clips of it on, different news outlets and things like that. Like automotive news outlets, not mainstream, but like Jalopnik and, some of those guys reached out and just said, hey, do you mind if we use a clip? And it was kind of cool. I mean, I don't know how to monetize it, but, but I had my little 15 minutes of fame there. It was, the thing that got me were there were so many people that were upset on our behalf, and that seemed like a weird dynamic to me, because we weren't upset. Stuff happens, especially it's a brand new truck. I think it was VIN number 260 or something.
Wow,
it happens. It's not worth getting upset about, but there were so many people that were just upset for us, like, oh, you should go back, they should buy, you should get a Demon for free for
free.
I mean, I like
free.
The idea.
Right.
They had
just give me stuff.
Give me stuff.
Yeah, because I had to sit on the side of the road for half an hour. But no, everyone was great, and even I called. I don't want to throw Scott under the bus. I called a friend at Jeep and said, hey, what do I do? And he said, well, as of 20 minutes ago, you're in the Jeep Wave program. You get $1,000 trip interruption coverage. He said, get a good hotel, have a good dinner, submit the receipts. Okay.
Nice.
But no, they treated us great. It was Solomon, Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, in California, PA. I don't know, Brownsville. I think Brownsville, PA.
It's on the dealer side too. I mean, they have no control over it, so you can't be mad at them, because they're and it's that whole idea. Like in the industry, we always do that. We have to buy the first one that comes out. To get it as soon as possible, so we can do R&D or whatever else we're trying to do on it. Because Metalcloak's not part of the Cool Kids Club. We don't get early access to anything. So
we don't. I'm not even close.
Yeah. So we it's like we go out there, we get it, we buy it, and you deal with it, right? We had that little. We showed off the welds on our two-door that were just absolutely horrific, right? And, but it's also how our friends at Light Bright got started. Was that very first video of the 10 things I hate or whatever it was about the JL. Because you're right, people look for that content. They want the negative stuff. Well, they had 300,000 views, and they had the response from Jeep, and then they had, I really launched them into the Jeep world, right? So
that's another example of just good friends I've made through the industry. I met Kevin and Brittany at the LA Auto Show for the Gladiator launch, and I don't know. I think just in passing, because they're out. We had some friends in common. They're really friendly with the guys at Dynatrack, and I think they're out there with Jim and Tony. So I was out there by myself. So I just I think we went out to lunch and just told them, left it as, hey, if you guys are ever back east, reach out. And they were in Pennsylvania, and just sent a quick message. Hey, what's good? Anything going on this weekend? I said, oh yeah, there's an event at Anthracite, AOAA, great off-road park, like outside Reading. And we met out there and spent the day wheeling. It was a small group. I had my JK there. They had the red JL, and some friends from Quadratech were there, and we just kind of hit the trail on our own, and we had a great time. And I talked to them, if not every day, 3-4 times a week. More Kevin than Brittany. Just we click, and oh hell, when they were out here doing some drift car stuff, and stayed with my family for week, 10 days. Just good friends. There's some awesome people in this industry who I never would have met if it wasn't for these connections. But you tend to attract good people, Matson. That's
who, me? No.
Yeah, you tend to good people seem to gravitate towards you. So
I don't like bad people. I don't like bad people. I don't like stupid people, but well, thanks, Mike. It's there, and I think it's not hard to do in this business. And I've even had, there are some people in this industry, it's interesting. There's a lot of, and I'll use this word again, there are a lot of big swinging dicks in this industry. And by that, I mean guys who just are A-type, and it's their way or no way. But even then, when you sit back and you're hanging out at a Jeep, and you can genuinely communicate and talk to people and touch moments. There are times where you see them in their element, like surrounded by their fans or whatever, and you don't want to be there because it's not the real person. It's like it's their facade that they think they have to be. And I don't like people like that. I don't like people that just exist in a facade. I mean, yeah, I'm brutally honest about myself and my shortcomings on this show, right? And it's because that's what we need to be. We need to be honest. We need to be honest with ourselves, honest with each other, and especially when you're talking the story you were saying about building the rigs and what you do for your customers. This is why you failed as a used car salesman. I know because my stepfather's a used car salesman, and he was successful at it. So that just says you a thing or two, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, man. So it's been great having you on here. Absolutely
I have to
great.
get back and go build some Jeeps.
Yeah, exactly. I think customers are waiting for you. Hey, how can people find you? How can they find you on the internets and everywhere else?
It's great where we have, you can find us at globexperformance.com. We're launching our brand new site the next day or two.
Nice.
So that's great. That's my next phone call after this is with to get all the DNS stuff set up. Facebook, Instagram, any social media channel, just, reach out. If you're in the area, stop on by. Right now we're still in kind of no contact, practices and stuff, but as things ease up, that'll open, and we're always welcome to having visitors and people stop by, kind of get ideas for their build, see what's going on. I'd say, another month or two, things are still kind of bad in this area, but vaccines are getting through, and I think we're through the hard times. We had over the winter was rough. We had guys out and in batches, and it was rough, but we made it through, and we're just trying to get through this last little bit.
Nice.
But yeah, always welcome. Give us a call. Shoot us a message, Facebook, Instagram, etc. We have a nice contact form on the website that'll be up in a day or two. Where people can, just send in an idea of what their project is, and ask for a quote. But awesome. Or shoot me an email, Mike at globexperformance.com. Anytime, give me a call, reach out by email, messenger, whatever. Whether it's just for help with a build, advice, or just a question about Jeeping in general, I'm always here. It's what we're here for.
Awesome. Well, I definitely look forward to checking out the new website.
Cool. It'll be up in a day or two. Like
nice.
I said, I'm setting up domain stuff. That's my next call.
Nice. Corey, anything you want to add, my friend?
Guys. Yeah.
No, I think we're good. We got a lot going on. So as we get ready for Easter Jeep Safari, it'll be great to see Mike out there and you as well. And we're going 100 miles an hour as we get this season started. I don't see a lot of breaks this year, so it's gonna be busy.
Well, for all of our listeners, we have some cool stuff planned for Easter Jeep Safari that we're going to be doing. So it should be a lot of fun with the podcast that week. And it's good as always to have you back, Corey and Jessy, and back in here. So it's not just me, trying to fill the void. And Mike, fantastic having you on board. I'm so glad we did. I can't believe it took almost into our third season before I, called you up and said, "Hey, be a part of the show." So
I realize I haven't seen you guys in about 2 years.
Yeah, it's been a
bit. I
Yeah.
saw you guys at the New Jersey Jeep Invasion 19,
right.
but Matson's been since EGS 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I'm looking forward to getting together.
Yeah, I think that was the last time I hugged the bear. So no hugging this year. No huggy. Well, listeners, thank you so much for joining us for another great episode of the ModernJeeper Show. And as always, if you like this and you're watching it on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you're listening to us, give us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast thing. Whether you like us or not, give us a 5-star rating. I'll pay you. How about 25 cents a star, please? Just find me and I'll give you $1.25. Thank you. So if anybody else has anything else they want to share with us, please share it. Let us know. Reach out to us, Matson at Metalcloak.com, Corey at Metalcloak.com, Jessy at Metalcloak.com. We have all kinds of stuff. The year may be flying by, but it's still early and there's a lot ahead. And Jessy and Corey are looking forward to, if you have small events and you have things going on in your area, we're looking at different events to be able to go in between the big ones and the major ones. We actually love doing the small events,
absolutely,
even more so than the big ones. But check us out. He's going to be Easter Jeep Safari here in a couple weeks, and then Florida for a number of events that are like back to back out there. So reach on out, our friends. That being said, anything else to add, my friends? Awesome. Well, we'll see you on the trails.
Cheers.
See ya.